In numerous verses of the Noble Quran, Allah Rabbul Izzah states that He, amongst His attributes, that He is Al-Hakim. Inna Allaha Alimun Hakim. Inna Rabbi Hakimun Alim. Hakim means the wise, that His action is not void of any wisdom. So Luqman Al-Hakim was once advising his son, and he said to his son, whatever happens to you in your life, always know and convince yourself that this has happened for your own interest and there is benefit for you in this. So his son said, I'm not convinced. How can there always be benefit for me in what happens to me? It's adverse. So Sayyidina Luqman then said, okay, let's travel to the Nabi of the time and he will further explain. So they prepared their provision, they prepared 2 donkeys and they traveled towards the Nabi of the time. Along their journey, they had to pass through a desert. They had the preparation for this. They had enough water and provision. But as the journey got longer, they reached a point where their water was depleted and the animals started to get weak. When Luqman perceived this, he then told his son that you should dismount your animal and lead your animal. So the 2 of them were leading their animals when the son of Luqman, then something happened to him. At the same time, Luqman could see that there seemed to be some shape and smoke in the distance, as though there's a village in the distance. When he looked at his son, what had happened to his son? A bone had pricked the foot of the son, and it went right through the foot, causing a severe injury. The son then fell unconscious. Luqman then tends to his son. He uses his teeth to pull the bone out, and then he takes his turban and he ties it as a bandage to stop the bleeding. And the son is in an unconscious state. As he's tending to his son and looking after his son, a tear from his eye falls onto the cheek of the son, and the son comes out of an unconscious state. And then he speaks to his father and he says, oh my father, what was the tear about? And he then asks his father, in this condition that we are in, you tell me what benefit could be there for us. If you leave me here and go look for help, I will die. You live with the regret of having left your son behind. On the other hand, if we both stay here at this moment, then we both will die. So what is the possible wisdom in the circumstances? So his father says to him, as for the tear that came out of my eye, that is because of my fatherly love for you. But there is definitely benefit in this. We could have been saved from something greater. While he's saying this, there's a rider on a horse coming in a distance. And this rider has a colored horse and has a white turban, but he's not visible. And as he comes closer and closer, Luqman is waiting to speak to the rider. Eventually, the rider comes close and he asks, who are you? And Luqman says, I am Luqman. And he says, are you Al-Hakim? And he says, yes, that is what people have given me the title, and because of the wisdom that my Rabb has given me. And then Sayyidina Luqman asks, who are you? And he says, I'm Jibreel. So he asks him, what brings you here? He says that I was instructed to punish the village that is far ahead. And while I was deputed for that, the angel that was in charge of guarding you and your son, he then informed me that these 2 people are on the way to that village. And by the time the punishment comes, the punishment will afflict them. I was then asked by this angel to make dua to save the 2 of you from the punishment. And as a result of that, your son got injured. And because of his injury, he was delayed. He did not reach the village that was supposed to be punished. And in this way, you were saved from that calamity was to struck the village. So Luqman alayhi salam's son was now convinced. Jibreel then passed his hand over his injury, and his injury was completely healed. He then took him back to his village. So the message is that whatever circumstances occur in our life, adverse, people tend to tell us, there's khair, there's goodness in this. And sometimes it's difficult for us to accept that and to believe it. But we need to understand that Allah is Hakim. And in every condition, there is always wisdom and there's always hikmah. May Allah Rabbul Izzah grant us that quality of radha bil qada, that we're always happy with the decree of Allah. Ameen.